We're ready to move on. We're here with Rolex Rankings number 22, Sophia Popov, our 2020 AIG Women's Open winner and a few weeks ago runner-up at the Bank of Hope LPGA Match Play. Welcome to Atlanta Athletic Club, Sophia. You've had a couple days to get out there and see the course. What does it look like out there for you?
It's really nice. Like every year, the past few years that I've played, it's just been incredible. KPMG just, really stepped it up as far as putting us on golf courses that are just crazy good. It's in perfect condition. It played really long yesterday because of the rain, but I think that's going to change. The greens are pure, so I think all of us are just really excited to be out there.
What are the challenges that this golf course presents? We've heard bunkers, different nines, length, all sorts of things. What's the challenge for you?
Yeah, I think that probably number one thing is the length, to be honest. You have a lot of longer irons in, a couple hybrids here and there. So probably length, and then the greens. I mean, you have to stay below the hole most of the times. Downhill putts are going to be really fast, really tricky. And then it's not the widest off the tee. So, keeping the ball in play and then, just trying to hit bombs, as Phil would like to say, would probably be beneficial.
Yes, that would definitely help. Before we open up for questions, I wanted to ask you about the stats project that was announced yesterday with KPMG backing that up for the performance insights. How do you think that's going to help benefit you and the tour and the stories we can tell and learning your game?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. We've been saying it amongst us players and caddies. We've been saying it for a long time now. It's cool on the PGA Tour. We've been able to see their stats for so long now, and comparing the stats and making it more interesting for the viewers too, to say, this is actually where they hit it from 120 to 150 yards and so on. My boyfriend Max always said, if there's a stat for the girls like between 150 and 180 yards, I promise you they hit it closer than the guys, because we just we've got a lot of girls out there that hit their hybrids super close, and it's cool to see. So, but we have not had a comparison. So I think it's going to be very exciting to be able to compare some stuff, and just for the general, viewership to see what's actually happening on the golf course.
Awesome. We'll open it up for questions. We'll start over here with Karen.
Sophia, where does competing in the Olympics rank on your list of accomplishments?
I'd have to say pretty much at the very top. The Olympics is a huge deal for me. It's been a big deal in our family. We watch it every time. We're kind of a little bit fanatic about it, because it's just, as far as the swim, my brother and my mom were swimmers, so I've always been watching that, the track, gymnastics. I think it's the coolest thing, and since golf has been part of it, it's just been very exciting, and just an incredible opportunity to be a part of that. So for me, it's very, very special. It definitely ranks up top.
Given that, a quick follow, do you worry that the men's lack of unanimous embrace of the Olympic event might imperil you all being able to participate in it down the road?
I think this year is different than other years. I think come Paris in 3 years, I don't think it's going to be the same situation. So, we've had some weird Olympic years with Zika happening in Rio, and then with, obviously the pandemic pushing this one back 1 year. And so I think those are things that you have to also take into account, that a lot of players are just, everyone travels with their families and they have to make their own decisions on whether they want to go or not. And I honestly, for me, it doesn't take away from how special that event is. And I think we're just lucky to be part of it. And I think it'll be as big as for everyone else as it is for me, at least in 3 years from now. And then hopefully without any pandemics or anything crazy happening.
We'll go down to Doug.
Sophia, when you won at Troon and you got to not the next major, retract that. When you eventually got to a next major, did you find your expectation level that much different from when you got to the British?
Yeah, so my next major was
Houston.
The Open.
Yeah.
The US. No, KPMG.
Oh, KPMG.
KPMG was my next one. I was like, didn't get to participate in A&A, but it was definitely different, just because I knew my level of play was, I think just in general higher, just because of how confident I was on the golf course. So I think that's one thing. I love major courses. I love that they're long, they're tough. It's not a birdie fest. It's all about who plays the most consistent golf throughout the week, and that's what I love about it. So going into KPMG last year, that was what I was excited about. At Aronimink, it was all about hitting the right shots, putting yourself in the right positions, and being able to score, but as well just protecting from higher numbers. And I think that's something that a situation that I like to be in. So I think that I definitely expect more from myself. At the same time, I'm just kind of try to go out there, have fun, and just enjoy being out there.
Are you saying it's more about winning majors, not making mistakes or making birdies? What do you put emphasis on? Probably
eliminating big mistakes. I think that's a big thing. Birdies will come if you stay patient. You hit a bunch of shots to 20 to 30 feet, you'll make a few putts, and just using the opportunities that you have, while at the same time just eliminating the big trouble. I think that's the biggest thing, just playing smart, missing the fairways on the right sides, and missing the greens on the right sides.
Have you ever done anything dumb when you've missed? In other words, when you put yourself in a bad position, have you ever tried to do too much?
Yeah, just last week. I made an 8. That was really fun. I really enjoyed being stuck behind a tree for like 3 shots. So, yeah, I clearly have done dumb things before. But, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, there are always situations where I'm the kind of player too, there's a tiny gap and I'm always like, I can get through there, I can do it. And a lot of times I can. But I have a great caddy that kind of keeps me in check a little and says, you know what, maybe chipping out's the right idea here. And so we go back and forth with that. But for most parts, I think I've gotten better at it. Just being a little bit more conservative with my targets, enabling me to maybe eliminate bigger trouble and shoot more solid rounds around even when I'm at majors.
Almost seems like it's a mistake if you try to pull something off and you do, and then you think you can do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you live and you learn. So you just you make the mistakes and you learn.
Jeff, then Beth Ann.
What do you see as the biggest challenge of this golf course?
I think the biggest challenge is going to be, that I think it's a second shot golf course. On the par 5s, putting yourself in good positions as far as layups go, being smart about going for it or not. You have a lot of long irons in. So I think if you can just be, like I said, smart about where you hit it. And the par 3s are long and there's a lot of water. So, just taking big numbers out of play. I think it's narrow off the tee, but it's okay. The bunkers are okay, especially with how packed they are right now. So I think it's about missing the fairways on the right sides, just, eliminating kind of, I guess the higher numbers by giving yourself angles into all the greens.
I know the tee was back at 18 yesterday, but have you been able to go at the par 5s?
I've been going at a few of them. Honestly, I'm the worst at remembering holes. So if I go back, I'd like to say it's like somewhere around 13 or so. There's a par 5 that I went for and 2. I was hitting it fairly well off the tee yesterday. 18 was just a little bit out of reach from the back tee. I know they're probably going to push it up and give us a chance to go for it. Again, just have to have a good number. I talked to my caddy Mikey yesterday, and we said, if I'm not fully comfortable and I'm not confident about the number that I have, I'm good with my wedges. Laying up is always an option. Just give myself a chance at birdie, and maybe come down the stretch on Sunday. You can be more aggressive, but laying up is never a problem around here.
Mm-hmm. Beth Ann?
Curious what was going through your mind watching another non-member win a major and knowing what was going to come to Yuka, and what do you think she will bring to the LPGA?
I mean, she's from the first time I watched her play, and she was out there. And actually, I think I saw her play at the Lotte the first time because I didn't play that event. I was watching it on TV, and I saw her swing. And I mean, it's pretty much as pure as it gets as far as swing, the athleticism that she brings with her. And listening to her interview, she's just a very sweet person too. She's awesome. And Honestly, to me, it's all about those are the personalities and the players that we can only hope to have on tour. And so seeing her when, they told her that she was going to have LPGA status, I think was the coolest thing. She was like, really? And I'm like, how surprised can you be? You just won the U.S. Open. You're clearly one of the best players out here. So I just think it's awesome. She gets everything she deserves. She's a great player. She's a great human being. So there's no reason why she shouldn't have a 5-year exemption out on tour.
And would you like to see the LPGA have an automatic top 10 rule to get into the next event for non-members like the PGA Tour has?
I would like to see that, although I think I don't know if I would distinguish from where that player is coming from which tour they're coming from, but I think where my heart's at is especially for the Symetra Tour players and LET members, players that are under the LPGA umbrella. They're paying their memberships, they're paying their entry fees every week in, week out. If they come in top 10 at an LPGA event, I think they should get the automatic exemption to the next event. So I do believe, you have to reward great playing. Top 10s are not easy out here, and if you're good enough to have one, then you should move on to the next.
We have a question for you from the Zoom. There's been discussion on the PGA Tour about greens books and whether they should be used or not. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, I can't say I haven't been using them. I've been using them. But I do think there's, green reading is a skill that not everyone has, and I think it's something that should be more important. We kind of lose, to me, it was a little bit sometimes that I felt like I lost the little junior player in myself, the one that got really excited about having a good read, hitting the putt where I wanted to and it going like, well, that was a perfect read. And now I rely on green books a lot, and I make mistakes because of green books because it takes away my intuition and what I saw, the first thing I saw on the green. So I'm right there with a lot of players where I say, if we got rid of green books, I wouldn't be very sad about it because I think it's a skill that every player should have. And honestly, that's what your caddy's there for too. If you have a good caddy and he's a good green reader, you can rely on that too. So I think down the road it would be maybe a nice thing to slowly get rid of, and for pace of play reasons too. I'm a very fast player, and I like for things to speed up.
You are very quick. You might be we might walk faster than I do, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
Karen.
A quick 3-part Olympic follow. How far did your mom and brother go in swimming? How did you not become a swimmer? And what is the most indelible memory of the Olympics you have from watching them on TV?
So my brother swam for University of Arizona. He was in Olympic trials for 2012 for London. He just barely missed out. He was a sprinter, so he was one of a lot.
Was this the brother who was at Bank of Hope?
This was both of my brothers came to Bank of Hope. So it was the younger, the middle of us, 30-year-old. So he barely missed out on London. He had a bunch of friends that went there. He was kind of bummed. He actually went to watch them, but he didn't participate. And then my mom actually made the Olympic team in 80. Ooh. I believe that's the one where the U.S. boycotted. And so they didn't go. So she never got to go. And then 4 years later, she had a broken elbow to deal with. So kind of a dream that never came true for her. And at that time, she was one of the fastest 200 free swimmers in the country. And the reason why I didn't become a swimmer is because of all that heartbreak. My mom was like, I want to teach you guys how to swim, but I wouldn't be mad if you didn't become swimmers because it's a very unrewarding sport. And to that point, I think the biggest memories that I have are a lot, when I got older, Michael Phelps started becoming one of the best swimmers in the world and probably the GOAT at that time. And I watched pretty much all of his races. I got really excited about those. And then, and now when I look at the most recent ones, gymnasts, I just watched a Simone Biles documentary this morning, and she's like one of the most impressive people that I've ever seen. So, there are some key things that you see that are just amazing and where you see dreams come true, and that's what, I'm hoping for.
So you're carrying you are fulfilling the dreams of your mother and brother in Tokyo.
Yeah, more or less, they're very, very excited for me, and they would love to be there. I think that's probably the toughest part of it is that they can't be there. But you know, my brother, my mom, they were like, well, can we get the like Olympic rings tattooed and just like write brother or mother underneath? And I was like, you could do whatever you want to, but I think it is part of that, and it's also why I want to go so badly, is because I have 2 other people to represent that I feel like could have been there in the past.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Sophia. Appreciate it. Have a great week.
Thank you.
We've got Carrie and Heather waiting right here for us.